and welcome to what is the pre-season race here around in Division 5 around France here in RSF1. As you can see, I'm not on the grid this year for Division 5 because I'm now in Division 4. So I will be now commentating as the streamer in Division 5. As you can see, you've got the little stream bar in the bottom very corner of the screen. Don't know how to remove that. So unfortunately that will be there every single race, but hopefully it won't be in the way, so it's down in the bottom corner. As you can see now, we'll run you through the grid and the drivers. We got Chosen Tolby in 19th, Timmer in 18th, Hail King Tomo in 17th, Stars Orphan, my teammate from last year, in 16th, Grave Digger in 15th, FIFA Joker in 14th, Mr. Crunchy Bear in 13th place. We got Mr. Blue Sky T T in 12th, then M and JJ's, or just JJ for short, in 11th, Daniel P45 in 10th, Invade in 9th, James Petty 8th, Hippo 7th, got Aaron Bat and Newbie in 6th, Ramsey in 5th, Locker in 4th, Egon in 3rd, you would remember from the FSM days, Chadwick in 2nd, and Ruli Ethan starting on pole position. As you can tell, I'm making a few errors. I'm a little bit rusty. I haven't recorded a video for maybe 2 to 3 weeks because I did have COVID. No, actually probably nearly a month because I had COVID and I've been down visiting my family afterwards. So this is the first video in about a month. So sorry for that, guys, but I have been quite ill and then the Christmas/New Year break. But we're going to get into this one now. We're back to normal videos on a Wednesday and a Friday. Let's get into this as we gear up for the 5 red lights, which will not appear on the screen, just to spoil a few guys. And we are waiting. Go, go, go! We're underway here now for the first race of the season. Not an official race. None of these drivers will stay in these cars. As you can see now, going down into turn 1, Rudy Ethan gets the whole shot and leads the field around the first couple of corners. A little bit of chaos behind, a few cars off the track, but nothing too severe. Mr. Blue Sky, the guy starting on the hard compound tyres, is down in 19th place. We've got 3 cars starting on the soft tyres, which is Daniel, Invade, and Locker, who all got into Q3 on the soft tyre. And it's just going to be carnage. As you can also tell, there was no qualifying because I forgot to record it. That was my fault. Sorry, guys. Never done it before, and hopefully I'll never do it again. But as you can see, it's absolute neck to neck with everybody now. Everyone is wheel to wheel as JJ goes down the inside and forces Daniel off the track. Very, very aggressive from JJ. And Daniel gets a 5-second time penalty for corner cut, and that seems very, very harsh. But there's not an awful lot we can do about that. And he's just going to have to serve that in his pit stop as everybody goes through here cleanly. No, they don't! It looks like JJ and Crunchy Bear have come together. I did not catch it, and they are both out of this. They are both out of this Grand Prix, and we have a VSC as Ethan leads us on the VSC around. When is it going to end? And I think we're back underway. It looks like everyone's resuming, and they have. Everybody's back underway now. Ethan gets a start. Chadwick does as well, Locker does, and Egon sticks with them too. Looks like RSF1 has completely missed the restart, and he is so far off the back of everybody else already, as James Petty thinks about going down the inside, can't quite make the move stick. So he's going to have to sit in behind and have to wait for his opportunity. Hopefully it will come soon for him. He's going to sit there, as you can see, 6 cars here trying to pass, or 5 cars trying to pass Ramsey. Ramsey's in front of them, Ramsey loses the back end, he goes around. Can he keep it off the racing line like Musical Rocket failed to do last year here in a race we commentated on in Division 2, I believe it was. And he does. He manages to keep it out of trouble, which is good for him and good for everybody else in this race. Everyone can just continue. Ramsey drops to the rear of the field. And now we go back to the front where the DRS is now enabled. We've got Ethan. Looks like he's smartly moved to the side there, which is not a strategy I'm very keen on. But he's moved to the side there to allow Chadwick to get the to get behind Chadwick so he can have the DRS. It's very, very cheeky. I'm not a big fan of said strategy, but he's done it, and it's going to probably pay off for him now because he's going to get the DRS. He's going to use a tiny bit of ERS. Well, he doesn't need to use that much actually. He can just slipstream his way past him and back into the lead of this race as he resumes the lead. He goes a little bit deep though, so it gives Chadwick a slight opportunity there to come back at him. But as you can see there, briefly, Ethan's fuel light is yellow. Now, there's a chance a lot of these drivers could have underfueled with the hope of a safety car. So far, we've had a VSC, and I believe everything's put on reduced for this social race, and it was set to complete dry. So I think they took a major risk underfueling here, because the safety car's pretty much unlikely. You're probably more than likely going to get VSCs if you're going to get anything. Now, that is an issue for a couple drivers. I think Ethan's fuel light was on. Chadwick's I didn't see, and I didn't see what was happening with James Petty, but later on in this race we'll be able to keep an eye on them and see what they're up to. But as you can see, Locker on the soft tyres, he's the leading soft tyre runner, invades back down in 5th place, but Locker's up into 2nd now. These soft tyres will only last about 5 laps here at the start of the race, considering they are used softs, as that was a bit of a moment there for Egon, but maybe he was trying to avoid Chadwick, tries to go inside, Chadwick holds it round the out. Now Egon, Chadwick are all over the back of Locker. Locker's thinking about a move there, but chooses not to make it on Ethan. But it looks like we have got a massive amount of cars that could potentially win this race. All the way down to Locker right now is 6 tenths of a second, has the biggest gap. And you can see Gravedigger is 4.7 seconds off the back of the top 9, which is crazy. It's a big gap to have between 9th and 10th at this stage of the race, especially with a VSC just happened a minute ago. But yeah, it seems to be opening up, and it seems like he's holding up Tolby and FIFA Joker as it stands. And you can see, looks like Chadwick's going to go for a move here on Locker potentially, and he does not do it yet. He sits there for now. Or does he? Because it looks like he gets a great exit. So he's going to try and get on inside. We've got a spinner, and I believe that is Daniel P45. It is indeed. Daniel P45 has gone around, as also Locker maintains the position over Chadwick. James Petty does pass Egon though, but does gain a time penalty to help himself out there. As you can see now, the two Mercs, who are just teammates for today, are now together on track. Locker's on 4-lap old soft tyres, which will probably be on the edge of life at this point, and James Petty is on 4-lap old medium tyres, which will be still working absolutely beautifully. So if I was Locker, I would move out of the way, but because it's only a social / pre-season race, I wouldn't even bother about team orders. I'd stay in front, and I would just stay there and be a hindrance. But it looks like Locker is going to move out of the way, and he does indeed. James Petty goes past him, and he's up into 3rd now. So Ethan leads, Chadwick 2nd, James Petty's now in 3rd with Locker 4th, Egon 5th. And we got another spinner, and it's Daniel again. Daniel has gone around again. It looks like he's testing the limits of this track and just having a lot of fun spinning everywhere. As Hippo now battles Locker, he goes around the outside of Locker. Those soft tyres are gone. They are shattered on Locker's car. We got another spinner, and it's chaos. It looks like the two Aston Martins were involved. Hail King Tomo, FIFA Joker, and I don't know who else was involved in the contact. It might have been Stars Orphan, it could have been Blue Sky. There's a few cars involved. But we've ended up with a absolute bit of carnage there, and the two Aston Martin cars not having the best of times, as Tomo had to hit for damage as well. Now we got another spinner. It's Daniel again. Daniel P45 needs his P45 after this race. He is having a shocker. Unfortunate for Daniel, but he is having an absolute nightmare today. As we now go back to the leaders, Chadwick's about to make a move with DRS down the straight. There we go, nice and easy. Back into P1, Ethan down to P2. And James is just sitting pretty in P3 right now, just taking his time and relaxing. And then they've got a bit of a gap down to Egon. And that gap that I was talking about with Gravedigger to Hippo, they're now 6th and 7th, but the gap is now 9 seconds. The gap has rose massively in 4 laps. So it looks like Gravedigger is struggling for a little bit of pace, but he's doing all he can. Now we look on board with Mr. Ethan. Ethan's getting in the slipstream now of Chadwick. Should be able to make another easy move around the outside. And he does on the straight there. Gets past him before the braking zone as Chadwick collects a time penalty for corner cutting as he gets to that corner. That is very, very unfortunate. Now Chadwick's in the slipstream, and Chadwick thinks about a move but decides to stay behind for now. And Ethan leads the race yet again. Now we might see a lot of this because it's so easy to pass with the DRS assistance. And as you can see, the ERS usage is very, very high, and the regeneration is very, very low. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are down to the very, very minimum. As you can see now, James Petty making this move on Chadwick, and he is down to actually 7% ERS. One of those drivers was then. I don't know which one it was because I switched between them too much. I'll make sure I don't switch so many times next week. But as you can see, Ruley Ethan up to 70%, and the other drivers are battling below 20, so they're struggling now. As we now nearly have a 3-wide moment with Ethan and Chadwick and Petty, and it looks like Ethan holds on to P2 actually after all of that. Chadwick stays in P3 and James Petty takes the lead. So these three drivers at the very front are battling tooth and nail to see which one can end up at the front. They're having a lovely, lovely battle, and it's going very, very aggressive. It could end in disaster, but so far they've kept it relatively clean. Now a quick look at Aaron here. Aaron is battling Egon. I think Egon is starting to struggle for pace a slight bit, and Hippo is staying with Aaron as well. So Egon is at risk of losing a couple positions, and at the moment Hippo has 0 time penalties. Tim Starsdorf and Locker and Mr. Blue Sky, and Hail King Tomo all have no time penalties as it stands. Everybody else has penalties, which we'll have a look later in the race. As James Petty exits the final corner and goes very defensive, he's determined to keep this position. I wouldn't be so worried about keeping the position down this straight because I wouldn't mind losing it and then going from DRS down the second straight. But he does seem to defend it down there, and I'm not really sure the point of that, but he does. And for now, it looks like things will stay as they are until we get to the next DRS straight. Now this is a good track for just driving, but the thing is, the only overtaking spots really are with the DRS assistance, and that makes overtaking a little bit easy at times, because if you've gone for a low wing setup, which gives you more straight line speed and less corner speed, you're just going to storm past people anyway. Add DRS and ERS into the mixture, you're just going to absolutely dominate people down the straights, and it's just not going to be competition for you. As Ethan takes the lead once again, but I decided to talk over it because we've seen that a couple of times already in this video, and it was an epic race to commentate over. I'm enjoying watching it over again, actually, to be honest with you. These three are just going at it, and it is just absolute scenes here. I've not seen the lead switch so many times, all the positions switch so many times. As you can see in the background, I think it's James Petty and Chadwick have both dived into the pit lane at the last minute there and left Ethan sat on track. So they've gone for the undercut strategy. Now, where are they going to come out? As Petty forgets to take off his pit limiter, has to come outside of the pit lane, and Chadwick goes around him in the pit lane, does not quite make the move, or does he? No, he's still behind him. That is a rookie error from James Petty, and also then exiting the pit lane, which could get him in a bit of trouble with the stewards. But that was interesting. I've never seen someone do that, forget to turn off their limiter, and the other car behind them tries to overtake them in the pit lane. You're not ideally meant to do that, but what can you do in that situation? As they both come out in a lot of traffic. As you can see, from Chosen Tolby all the way down to Hippo. So that's 5th place all the way down to 13th place. They have found themselves in the mixture of that group. So this is not going to help their undercut on Ethan. It's going to really compromise them, actually. They're going to struggle to do anything against this. And they need to just be smart and make sure the right move is done at the right time. Because if they're not careful, they could be involved in an incident that is not in their race. And Invade's gone around. Invade has gone around. I just saw him spin in front of the rest of them, and he is just slightly off camera there. There's Invade coming back on the circuit. He lost the back end, which gives James another position as Ethan's in the box now. Now we go on board with James. Let's see where James and Chadwick will be. It looks like Chadwick's just gone past James somewhere. I don't know where it happened, but on my screen it didn't look like it was proper. It looked like more of a lag spike. But now we're coming down the straight as we now look at Ethan. Ethan is going to come out still in the lead. Ethan's still in the lead. He's come out in front of Ramsey and Stars Orphan. And Chadwick and James Petty are about 3 seconds back. So there is a massive gap that's formed as we've got another yellow flag. And it is Aaron. Aaron Batt's in the wall. Aaron Batt was in the wall. And that has not gone well for him. He's lost his front wing on turn 1. And that is a disaster. He's got to do a whole lap now without a front wing. So he's probably not going to stay in the race very long. And I wouldn't blame him neither. As we now have a look to see what's going on. James Petty has dropped a slight bit back there from Chadwick. As Chadwick is just going about his business now. And he's all over the back of Ramsey. Can he make that move? As Aaron Batt has decided to call it a day. And I wouldn't blame him. That means his AR's going to come back onto the circuit, which is a feature they need to fix for future games and actually have so you can tyre in your garage. But he should be out of the way by the time anyone gets there, and he is, which is ideal. And now we look at the lead. It's up to 3.3 seconds. James Petty collects another time penalty. We get another yellow flag. I don't know what's happened this time, and it's Tomo. King Tomo is around, and he is now at the very back. He's just dethroned himself from a king to a prince, and now he's sitting at the very back of the field, and that is not ideal for him. Now we go back and have a look at what's going on at the front. It's now down to 2.6 seconds, but you can see that James Petty and Chadwick are working together down the DRS straight, and they're just DRSing past each other with a little bit of DRS usage, and they are slowly clawing this gap now to Ethan. They are gaining time after time, but Ethan has also, as we saw earlier, has a fuel light on, and he still does actually. Ethan still has the fuel light on, and he is still having to just tiptoe slightly as we get another yellow flag, which is Timmer's around. Timmer's had a mistake. Timmer's had a error somewhere along the line as James Petty now goes past Chadwick again, and he's back into P2. But these two are working together very, very nicely. As they're now going to pass each other again. Yes, they are. Of course they are. This is all that we're going to see, I think, at the moment, is these two boys battling each other nice and hard as Timmer makes another mistake. But we'll go back to the battles as Daniel and Tolby have just swapped positions somewhere along the line. Or was it Daniel and Gravedigger? It might be Daniel and Gravedigger, actually. And Hippo now just all over the back of Invade. But it's a drama-filled race, but it slowly calms down here now. You've got the two guys behind Ethan who have both got 3 seconds extra time penalties than him, and they are trying to work together to close the gap. But it's back up to 3.2 as Chadwick now passes James Petty again down the DRS straight. We've got another yellow flag as Chadwick is miles off the track, goes through the DRS board. He's so far off the circuit. But he has lost that position, but he probably doesn't mind that because they were going to switch positions anyway. And Mr. Blue Sky has somehow spun so far off the track that he's on another part of the circuit as used in a different form of racing. Don't know how he's managed that one. But now we come around. We're going to be starting the final lap in a moment. As you can see, Ethan's red light's on. Ethan's red fuel light is on. This means he could be in trouble. That normally comes up when you're within 1 lap of running out of fuel. So he could be in a lot of trouble here. And he is going to have to tiptoe to the very end of this race. And if he makes it, I'll be amazed. It's come on so early. The yellow's been on most of the race. He could be in major trouble of running out of fuel here. And it might not be long. It might not be a late run out of fuel. It might be midway through this lap. He's in a lot of trouble. And James Petty's fuel light's on as well. I haven't had a chance to look at Chadwick's. I'm not sure if that's on. Chadwick's is on. Okay, so all 3 of the top runners could run out of fuel. This is anybody's race between the top 3. Either one of these drivers can win this now. As we're going down the back straight. And Ethan! Ethan's out of fuel! Ethan has run out of fuel. He is done. He is completely conked out of fuel down the back straight. And that's the worst place for it to happen. He is now in trouble. He might lose his podium. He should lose his podium, actually. And Ethan will not be winning this race. Ethan has run out of fuel. This is a shocking decision. You do not risk running on low fuel, especially in a race where safety cars have been minimised. This is a poor mistake from him. He is completely done. It's now between James Petty and Chadwick. Which one of these two is going to run out of fuel first? Or will they both just about make it? Or will they both just absolutely run out of fuel and Eagle might win this race? We don't know what's going to happen at this point. They're coming around the final few corners. Now we go into the final corner. Looks like James Petty's going to have this depending on his fuel. Comes around the final corner. And he should have it. Chadwick's out. Chadwick is out of fuel. And James Petty crosses the line just about with fuel. I think he's run out as he's crossed the line. And he has actually. He has run out of fuel as he's crossed the line. So James Petty wins the race just about on fuel. Chadwick runs out on the final stretch. So he comes home in P2. Egon gets P3 depending on Ethan. I think Egon will get it. Ethan comes home in P4, out of fuel for half of that lap, so that shows how much pace he had on the rest of the field, that he still come home in P4 after running out of fuel halfway through the lap. F1 Jokers has crossed the line in 5th, but loses it to Locker. FIFA Jokers, he goes down to 6th. Invade 7th. Oh no, that's all swapped again. I don't know where everybody is. Now Invade has come home in 8th, Ramsey gets 6th. Stars Orphan should get 8th here. Penalties will make it easy for him. Invade now drops to 9th. Everyone's all over the place. Hippo gets 10th. Gravedigger has come home in 12th because I can guarantee that he's going to lose that position to Mr. Blue Sky, who's going to get 11th place. And Chosen Tolby 13th. It looks like Hail King Tomo or Daniel for 14th here. I know Daniel was quite low on fuel throughout this lap. And Daniel's out of fuel now. Daniel has run out of fuel also. Everybody is struggling. Everyone has got the fuel wrong in this race. And this is shocking from the grid. They've all made a mistake. Well, the majority have made a mistake. About 5 drivers ran out of fuel there on the final lap. And that is high drama here in a pre-season race around Division 5. This was ridiculous. I did not expect any of that to happen. But James Petty wins. Chadwick gets P2. Egon P3. Ethan 4th. Despite running out of fuel halfway through the lap. You get Locker 5th, Ramsey 6th, FIFA Joker 7th, Stars Orphan 8th, Invade 9th, Hippo 10th, Mr. Blue Sky 11th, Gravedigger 12th, Chosen Tolby 13th, Hail King Tomo 14th, and I believe the final finisher was Daniel King 45. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I've been Chris12 LFC, and I will see you later.